Everyone is arguing about toughness, hype, and violence. About who hits harder, about who wants it more, about who belongs in this moment. But that's not what this fight is really about. This fight is about timing and what happens when two careers are moving in opposite directions at the same moment.
The top 10 at lightweight in the next 3 years is going to be completely different, apart from me and Armin.
Because that sentence isn't confidence, it's urgency.
What we fight for, this is my job.
That isn't excitement either. It's calculation. Same cage, same belt, same night. But very different reasons for being here. One fighter is arriving while the door is still open. The other knows how fast that door closes. This isn't about violence versus hype. It's about timing versus consequence. And once that difference shows itself, it doesn't announce itself loudly. It just decides the fight. Section 1. Paddy isn't chasing Gaethje. Most people think Paddy Pimblett is chasing Justin Gaethje because of style, because it's exciting, because it's violent, because it feels like a test of toughness. That's the surface explanation. But it's not what's actually happening here. Paddy isn't chasing Justin Gaethje. He's chasing timing. He understands where he is in his career, and just as importantly, where everyone else is.
Yeah, of course, it'd be nice to get all the future Hall of Famers, because like Gaethje, Poirier, definitely Charles.
That line isn't trash talk. It isn't bravado. It isn't hype. It's a list. And lists like that tell you exactly how a fighter is thinking. Paddy isn't talking about styles. He isn't talking about matchups. He's talking about names. And names only matter when time is limited. He understands something most fans don't fully appreciate. Careers don't last forever, especially at lightweight. Divisions don't stay stable. And the fighters who define an era eventually disappear all at once. Names fade, opportunities close. And if you miss that window, it doesn't reopen. Legacies aren't built by looking impressive in isolation. They're built by who you beat while those wins still mean something. This isn't about disrespecting Justin Gaethje. It's about understanding that the door doesn't stay open just because you're confident. It stays open because timing allows it to. That's why Paddy keeps mentioning the same names. Former champions, future Hall of Famers, fighters whose relevance is already being counted in years, not decades. He isn't hunting danger for its own sake. He isn't trying to prove toughness. He's hunting moments. And that changes the entire risk profile of this fight. Because when one fighter is chasing timing instead of domination, the objective isn't to overwhelm, it's to arrive. Section 2. Gaethje isn't here for Paddy. Justin Gaethje isn't here to test himself. He's already done that, repeatedly. He's past the phase where fights are about curiosity or self-discovery. Past the phase where danger alone is enough justification. He's here to control the board.
No, it's no disappointment at all. I mean, everything on paper, interim champion is the same as a champion on paper.
It isn't pride, and it isn't a soundbite meant to impress fans. It's leverage. At this stage of his career, every fight has to serve a purpose beyond the night itself. It has to move him forward, not just keep him busy. It has to create position, not just spectacle. And it has to keep doors open that time is already trying to close. Justin Gaethje isn't measuring himself against Paddy Pimblett. He's measuring outcomes. He's weighing what this fight gives him access to, financially, structurally, and politically within the division. Titles, paydays, the next conversation, the last meaningful run. He understands something fighters only learn late. Time doesn't give second chances. It doesn't slow down out of respect. It compresses options. Windows don't close gradually, they shut. That's why this fight exists. Not because of hype, not because of rivalry, not because it's entertaining on paper, but because this matchup still gives him access to relevance, to leverage, and to the next title conversation before that door disappears. For Gaethje, this isn't about who's standing across from him. It's about where this fight places him afterward. Section 3, the danger nobody's talking about. This fight isn't dangerous because of power. It's dangerous because of a mismatch in cost tolerance. Justin Gaethje doesn't just bring damage. He brings accumulation. Every step forward forces a decision. Every exchange taxes recovery, even when nothing lands clean. Every minute spent under pressure increases cost, quietly, steadily, and without drama. That's how his fights work. The damage isn't always visible. The cost isn't always immediate, but it's always being collected. Paddy brings belief. Belief that he can survive chaos. Belief that he can adapt while things are breaking down. Belief that confidence and composure can carry him through moments where others panic. That belief isn't fake, and it isn't accidental. It's been reinforced by fights where survival was enough to turn momentum. But Gaethje brings something belief can't cancel out. Time under pressure, not explosive moments, not sudden danger. Extended exposure. The kind that forces recovery to work over and over again until it doesn't. Belief can win moments. It can steal rounds. It can keep you standing longer than expected. But belief doesn't reduce cost. And cost doesn't show itself early. It waits. It allows a fighter to feel composed. It allows confidence to grow. And then it shows up when adjustments stop working. That's why this matchup is dangerous for both men. Not because either lacks skill, not because either lacks courage, but because one fighter adds cost by design and the other is stepping into a system built to collect it over time. Section 4. Why this fight can't be a brawl. That's the most dangerous sentence in this interview. Not because it's wrong, but because brawls don't reward intention. They reward familiarity with cost. Justin Gaethje has lived inside brawls for most of his career. He understands the cost structure of chaos. He understands how quickly comfort disappears, and he understands what it feels like when recovery stops working, but the fight keeps going anyway. He knows how to keep moving forward when his body doesn't feel cooperative. He knows how to function when the fight stops feeling fair, when the exchanges stop being clean and start being expensive. That knowledge isn't theoretical, it's been earned. Paddy hasn't paid that price yet. That isn't an insult, it isn't a criticism, it's a timeline. Brawls reward fighters who already know where their limits are, because they've already crossed them and survived. They reward fighters who understand how much damage they can absorb before posture breaks, before timing slips, before recovery slows permanently. For Paddy, a brawl feels like opportunity. It feels like a chance to prove something. It feels like momentum. For Gaethje, it feels like home. That's why this fight can't be a brawl, at least not for long, because the moment it becomes one, the cost stops being theoretical. It stops being about belief or intention. And cost always favors the fighter who's already paid it. Section 5. What this fight really decides. This fight doesn't decide who's tougher. It decides something quieter and more permanent. It decides whether belief can outrun accumulated damage, whether timing can overpower experience, whether momentum survives first contact with cost. Belief is powerful. Momentum is real. Timing can open doors that skill alone can't. Those forces matter. They create opportunities. They allow fighters to step into moments they wouldn't otherwise reach. But none of them erase cost. Cost waits. It doesn't announce itself early. It doesn't show up in the first exchange. It doesn't care how confident a fighter feels walking in. It reveals itself only once pressure has stacked long enough for systems to stop compensating. That's when belief is tested. Not emotionally, but structurally. That's when momentum meets resistance it can't negotiate with. That's the real threat in this fight. Not violence, not hype, not confidence. Spoiling momentum means forcing reality back into the conversation. It means reminding a rising fighter that belief has a limit. Not because belief is weak, but because it isn't designed to absorb cost indefinitely. And it means reminding everyone watching that cost always arrives. Not when you expect
the system
it,
underneath can
not
no
when
longer
you're
carry
ready
the
for
load.
it, but when
That's
the
what this
system
fight
underneath
actually
can no
decides.
longer carry the load. That's what this fight actually decides. This fight won't be remembered for trash talk. It will be remembered for what it revealed. About timing, about risk, about what happens when opportunity meets consequence. Belief can open doors. Momentum can carry you through moments when everything feels possible, but neither decides how a fight ends once cost enters the equation. Cost doesn't care about confidence. It doesn't respond to courage, and it doesn't disappear because the moment feels important. That's the part most people miss. If you want MMA explained beyond hype, subscribe to Cage Reality. Because fights aren't decided by confidence or fear, they're decided by what's already been spent.